here at Plot for the 2 Nile Avenue. But first, let's have a look at our top stories.
In the news tonight, the West to cut aid due to anti-homosexuality bill. President Museveni asserts to 6 bills, among which is the anti-homosexuality bill. Uganda and Tanzania are currently geared up for the commencement of a study for construction of the pipeline gas. And also, NSSF earned 31.5 billion dividend from MTN.
All right, now let's get right on to it. The mover of the anti-homosexuality bill, Honorable Asman Basalirwa, has advised government to consider looking for development partners in the Arab world to replace the financial aid, which will definitely be cut after the controversial bill has been asserted to by the president. This follows the revocation of the speaker's visas for both the US and the United Kingdom in relation to the anti-homosexuality law. We have details in this report.
Through her Twitter account, Speaker of Parliament Anita Among informed the country that His Excellency the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has assented to the anti-homosexuality bill. According to Honorable Asman Basalirwa, the Speaker has already received a document from both UK and US embassies about the revocation of her visas and warned fellow legislators that they may receive the same message because of the controversial bill.
Our colleagues in the Western world have indicated and actually actualized their threats. Visas have been cancelled. As I speak now, the speaker's visas have been cancelled for America the other day, and this is also confirmed. This is an email from US Embassy. And dear Madam Speaker, the United States government has revoked your current visas on information that came available after your last issuance. As of May 12, 2023, you don't possess a valid travel visa to the US, though you are welcome to apply again. Please forward your passport to the embassy through Ministry of Finance so that we can make necessary modifications to your visas. I think they were looking for my visa for the US, they didn't find it. So the first victim is the, the speaker. And I understand even the UK government is doing the same.
The legislator says it is true sanctions are going to start biting and will affect the budget of the country, and therefore proposes to government that he is ready to look for development partners from other worlds like the Arab world, to be specific.
Let us now consider looking for development partners. And I am ready to champion the cause of going to the Arab world to look for donor support. The Arab world, we will go to Saudi Arabia, we will go to Kuwait, we will go to Qatar, we will go to UAE, and this deficit which will be occasioned by these cuts can easily be replaced. So let's re-engage. If we've not been thinking about the Middle East, and particularly the Arab world, where they respect morals and values, let us go there.
Honorable Basalirwa also cautioned Ugandans who have businesses in the Western world to consider shifting them back to Uganda, as well as those with money in international banks, because they may be affected with actions of the Western government.
I was speaking to my colleagues in Ghana. In Ghana, they've even gone ahead to threaten freezing accounts. Freezing accounts. And slapping bans on international banking institutions that partner with the US banks and other financial institutions. So if you have monies on your accounts and you have a salary, remove it. Remove it. Because you are likely to be a victim.
Uganda's parliament last month passed an amended version of the anti-LGBT law prescribing a life sentence, but also after the initial bill passed a month before was returned by the president, citing several amendments. President Museveni has so far signed 6 bills into law, among which is the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2023, Museums and Monuments Bill 2022, the Public Health Amendment Bill 2022, the Markets Bill 2022, Microfinance Deposit Taking Banking Institutions Amendment Bill 2022 and the Law Reforms Miscellaneous Amendments Act 2023. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And now we focus on the Tanzania-Uganda gas pipeline deal. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has revealed that Uganda and Tanzania are currently geared up for the commencement of a feasibility study for the construction of gas pipeline. Irene Batebe, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Energy, says that they have already signed an initial memorandum of understanding for the construction of a gas pipeline and are close to finalizing an intergovernmental agreement. We have details in this report.
At least many Ugandans have heard about oil, but they have heard less about the natural gas. For now, Uganda is estimated to be having 500 billion cubic feet of natural gas underground. However, the current natural gas reserves may not be sufficient to address the country's needs. Irene Batebe, the Permanent Secretary from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, says that Uganda and Tanzania are currently geared for the commencement of a feasibility study for the construction of gas pipeline after signing an initial memorandum of understanding.
So as part of the in-country plans, yes, we are planning to use some of that gas from the upstream, bottled as LPG. However, in order to support this ambitious plan, we are working with the government of Tanzania to see that we can lay a pipeline that will bring natural gas from Tanzania to Uganda to do three things.
According to Batebe, the country's gas reserves are insufficient, and this pipeline from Tanzania to Uganda will increase the country's gas supply to support iron ore industry and other domestic requirements for gas.
One, to support our iron ore industry in terms of smelting, especially because today, of course, we are using coal and other options that are not very clean. So through this program, we'll be able to have clean gas to support our iron and ore industry, but also will support the domestic requirements for gas and also the industrial or commercial requirements.
What is the purpose of this gas? This gas, we plan to use it for power generation, for domestic use, LPG, and also to be used for supporting the production of oil. You know, you can pump gas. It is easier to pump gas into the ground than to pump liquid. So when you pump that gas, it will go and chase or push the other oil which is becoming stubborn out of the rock to come out.
Predominantly, gas reserves have been commercially discovered in the Albertine Graben, that's in Hoima, Chikube, Bulisa and Taroko districts.
PS indicated, oil is mixed with water with the gas. So when you start producing, gas comes out first, then you get the oil, then the water. So that is what we call associated gas. So we have 500 cubic feet estimated to be produced. Then along the way, as the volumes go down, we shall have now what we call the non-associated gas, which is about 150 billion cubic feet, which will be produced after we have produced the other which comes out first.
The MOU with Tanzania, yes, and we did highlight the function to bring in gas because they have a lot of gas, whereas Uganda is boasting of 500 billion cubic feet, Tanzania boasts of 57 trillion cubic feet, meaning that they do have a substantial amount of gas. So in this MOU, because it will be a transboundary integrated project, we did commit, number one, to put in place a joint technical committee at technical level.
The first gas commercialization is expected to happen in 2025, with production to be undertaken by joint venture partnerships between Sinok, Total Energies and others. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, budget garners stakeholder interest, according to what Parliament recently had approved the national budget amounting to a total of 52.73 trillion shillings, marking a notable 16% increase over past 3 years. Now, to put this into perspective, the budget stood at 45.58 trillion shillings in the financial year 2020-2021. The civil society organizations have, however, had different perspectives on the approved budget estimates for the next financial year, 2023-2024. We have details.
One of key highlights discussed by Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group was decline in monthly headline inflation. They revealed that there had been a decrease from 9.0% in March 2023 to 8.0% in April 2023. This reduction is a positive indicator, suggesting stability in the economy. According to Mukunda Julius, CS BAG Executive Director, projected increase is as a result of an increment of Uganda Revenue Authority from 23 trillion shillings to 29 trillion shillings.
This projected increase is a result of government of Uganda projected an increment of URA from 25 trillion to 29 trillion. Of course, knowing that URA will be collecting 27, but also non-tax revenues will come to 2.4 trillion Uganda shillings.
Despite this positive development, there are several challenges associated with implementation of the financial year 2023-2024 budget. A major concern raised is public debt sustainability. The national debt surged significantly over years, increasing from 30.9 trillion shillings in financial year 2018-2019 to a staggering 86.6 trillion shillings in financial year 2023-2024. This rise poses a significant risk to the economy and sectors like trade, requiring careful management and strategic planning.
Challenges we see with this budget is that it does not speak to key productive areas or sectors, such as mainly trade. When it comes to Uganda, we have already a trade deficit. We definitely do not import, we import more and export less. And even the challenges that come with that is that our own programs such as manufacturing, which has actually been cut from 235 billion to 186 billion, you see that there's actually going to be a challenge when it comes to how much finished products that we do have in able to compete with the outside market.
Additionally, in a world where food insecurity continues to challenge well-being of millions, promotion of food security requires strong commitment and adequate resource allocation by including targeted initiatives in their budgets.
Until when we put the issues of food and nutrition security on the table of our planning, we are losing it. We are instead going to import more tear gas to run after the hungry young men and women. We are going to strengthen security at household but also at community level, because when the hungry are not sleeping, not even the satisfied will sleep. So this is another very big concern that we are looking at the budget, and government of Uganda is not coming out definite to see how are they going to fill the food insecurity gaps.
Pursuit of an effective budget for a nation necessitates addressing existing challenges that hinder progress. Within realm of agriculture development, supporting and empowering farmers is paramount for achieving sustainable production.
We commend government's effort in upscaling the use of technologies that can be easily adopted by the smallholder farmers. But the challenge still remains in the extension services.
We know that this budget itself cannot be achieved if the existing challenges are going to remain. It can only be achieved on very, very strong assumptions that we think need to be addressed for us to be able to achieve what we want.
As Uganda moves forward with budget implementation, it is imperative for policymakers, government officials and civil society organizations to work together to address challenges at hand. Effective debt management strategies and robust fiscal policies will be crucial to ensure long-term economic stability and sustainable growth. Bronya Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And well, now we look at the accountability of public funds. As government is currently pushing for all Ugandans to join the money economy through the parish development model, Emyooga and other wealth creation programs, President Museveni has advocated for proper allocation of public resources and adherence to established protocols for the financial management. We have details in this report.
In the context of technology, embracing modern practices helps individuals and organizations stay relevant and competitive. This involves adopting new tools, softwares, and platforms that optimize operations, improve communication, and facilitate innovations. Similarly, in business and entrepreneurship, encouraging modernization often involves embracing new marketing strategies, digital platforms, and data-driven decision-making.
Go from traditional ways of doing things to modern ways of doing things. And how do we modernize? You modernize by making every homestead produce a good or a service and sell it. There is no way you can create prosperity any other way. The sort of problems I see you getting into, where you try to say you are going to create prosperity of your people by donating to them. There you are really getting lost.
To foster a governance system that upholds the principles of integrity, accountability, and effective resource management, leaders should properly allocate, monitor, and audit funds to ensure efficient and fair use.
To fellowship as members of the political family of NRM in Parliament. Build a better and stronger team. Contemplate on our purpose as a caucus in the 11th Parliament. Bond with one another. Advance as a coordinated and ideologically rejuvenated group or caucus, and above all, in the spirit that you advanced for calling this retreat.
President Museveni, however, cautioned leaders who use their own money in the areas they lead, for it is a huge mistake as these leaders are indebted, hence slowing economic development. This will promote an effective governance system that facilitates sustainable economic growth for the benefit of all citizens.
So this mistake of wanting to use your personal money to create prosperity for your people, to solve their economic problems, is a big mistake. Should stop. It is actually an indiscipline and a subversion in a way, because you get leaders who are indebted.
By encouraging the use of personal funds, President Museveni likely aims at promoting accountability and transparency within leaders, because relying on personal finances for public responsibilities will create a situation where leaders feel obligated to certain individuals or groups, potentially compromising their impartiality and decision-making, hence corruption. Mathini Msima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Misleading them.
Moving on to the road to Africa's business growth. Accelerating the African Continental Free Trade Area and the relevance of the Pan-African Parliament were the main topics of the two-day workshop conducted in Midrand, South Africa. Now, the importance of the private sector's important role in the African Continental Free Trade Area's successful implementation was emphasized, along with the requirement to offer incentives to African investors. We have details in this report.
There is need to provide incentives for African investors rather than multinationals. The Pan-African Parliament is set to advocate for legislation in domestic parliaments, making it mandatory to allocate 40% of government procurement to local private investors. Such measures would promote growth and participation of African businesses in the region. Also in November 2022, African Continental Free Trade Area convened Niamey, Niger. Leaders reaffirmed their determination to ensure their Africans' industrialization and economic diversification are financed in a predictable manner and with the urgency of identifying and addressing the impediments to productivity and growth through infrastructure development, energy, access to finance, digitalization, innovation, and skills development to achieving economic diversification. Concerns over the slow progress in implementation, various industrialization and development strategies were also discussed during the workshop. African leaders committed to accelerating industrialization, economic diversification, and trade on the continent emphasized the importance of ownership in these initiatives. Decisions were made to tackle obstacles related to financing, productivity, infrastructure, energy, access to finance, digitalization, innovation, and skills development. African Business Council ABS presented a comprehensive business strategy at the workshop. Built upon 3 pillars, the strategy focuses on strengthening the private sector, including SMEs, women, and youth.
All right, now more details to prevail in relation to business today immediately after the break. Smart 24, driving business.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda. Yeah, the taste of Uganda.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292 hash. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest.
He must be rich, tall, handsome, from a respectable family. He must have a maid because at our home we do not work.
Conductor Masao.
Owa, obadde olobye ku ssimu?
Yamunange, anti yo TV enkolera.
Nyumirwa omulembe omupya ogujjudde ebisanyusa omuli emikutu gya TV egisukka mu 8 n'egya radio nga kwotadde ne zifirimu ng'osinziirira wonna w'oli. Genda mu App Store oteeke app ya GOTV channels ku ssimu yo olwo onyumirwe ennaku 3 ng'olabira bwereere ewatali kozesa data. GOTV channels.
Smart 24, driving business. We'll be back from the break. You're still watching Business Today. And now we talk matters cybersecurity awareness, recognizing the transformative power of effective cyber defense. Countries are increasingly investing in fortifying their digital infrastructure to bolster their economic growth. According to the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, harnessing the potential of cybersecurity can significantly enhance a country's gross domestic product while simultaneously mitigating the debilitating impact of digital fraud. Naman Mutumba reports.
According to Uganda Communications Commission, the country loses an estimated $500 million annually due to cybercrime and digital fraud. These losses pose a severe threat to the country's economy, hampering its growth potential and deterring foreign investments. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, government authorities and cybersecurity experts are working collaboratively to fortify the nation's defenses against cyber threats.
Government of Uganda, through the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, together with its agencies, have a plan and an initiative to ensure that, we create cybersecurity awareness, as well as ensuring that there is a lot of training conducted for people to be empowered on what cybersecurity is and how to be cautious. Today we see a lot of fraud being conducted right from mobile money transactions, people calling to take stealthily pins from people through, playing on their psychology and minds, especially our grandparents and those, they take advantage of the illiterate people in the, our women in the markets, they take advantage of those. So the government is doing a lot of training and awareness, and there are various programs in various institutions that are doing the same.
Around computer networks. So the other aspects of security were also covered, but briefly. But as we know that these approaches used to safeguard our cyberspace could apply to multiple frameworks within the cyberspace.
To enhance capacity of the country's GDP through cybersecurity, Uganda has taken several key initiatives. The government has invested heavily in cybersecurity infrastructure, establishing state-of-the-art monitoring systems and implementing stringent regulations to safeguard digital transactions. Additionally, specialized cybersecurity training programs have been introduced to equip professionals with the necessary skills to combat cyber threats effectively.
In space, we have infrastructure, we have applications, and we also have data. So the cyber issues, cyber threats that are evolving every other day, they are targeting each of these three core areas: the infrastructure, the applications that we are building, and the data that the applications is generating. So far as a country, as a region, as a continent, we have built capacity on building applications that run on the cloud. Mobile applications, websites, IoT. At application level, we are doing well. But now whatever we are building that is residing on this ICT infrastructure, that is generating a lot of data, requires enhanced cyber security.
To the confidentiality of information, the integrity of our data, and then they touch on the availability. So we need secure systems that do protect the CIA infrastructure.
To fighting digital fraud, Ugandan institutes have actively engaged in international partnerships and collaborations to stay abreast of global cybersecurity trends and best practices. These collaborations facilitate the exchange of knowledge and expertise, enabling Uganda to adopt cutting-edge technologies and strategies to combat evolving cyber threats.
Uganda is the one that is having the largest number of volunteers, about 95 of them. This is one of the instruments of Nigerian foreign policy, to assist fellow Africans and also the people in the Caribbean and the Pacific, the other members of the G77, so to say.
As Uganda grapples with the financial toll of digital fraud, investing in cybersecurity emerges as a crucial strategy to safeguard the economy. By enhancing its cybersecurity measures, the country can unlock its potential for economic growth and protect businesses and individuals from the debilitating consequences of cybercrime. Naomi Mtumba, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Well, away from that, the National Social Security Fund has received a significant dividend of 31.5 billion Ugandan shillings from MTN Uganda for the year ended December 2022. This is after investing 360 billion Ugandan shillings in December 2021 to acquire 1.98 billion shares following its initial IPO, with dividend payments reflecting the fruitful partnership between the telecommunications giant and NSSF, which has been a major shareholder in MTN Uganda for several years. We have details in this report.
The National Social Security Fund, responsible for managing retirement savings in Uganda, has focused on growing and stabilizing its investment portfolio. As the second largest shareholder in MTN with an 8.84% stake, this dividend payment reflects the success of their strategic investment in the telecom sector. The 31.5 billion Ugandan shillings dividend payment will significantly contribute to NSSF's investment income and ultimately enhance the retirement savings of its members. With over 2 million active contributors, NSSF plays a vital role in ensuring financial security during retirements for countless Ugandans.
You may remember, in December 2021, we invested about 360 billion shillings in MTN. We bought 1.98 billion shares when the first initial public offering was made. Through NSSF, the members of NSSF now are the second largest shareholder of MTN Uganda. We own collectively about 8.84% of MTN. And we made this decision because, as a market leader in telecom and fintech,
MTN attributes the stock market decline from 200 to 162 to high demand and microeconomic conditions. They believe organizations that purchased stocks during this period have earned a significant return that would have been hard to earn anywhere else.
Markets are not growing that much, so we believe the yield almost 10% is good. But we all know also share price performance is beyond company performance. There's market, there's industry, there's liquidity. Today if someone say they wanted to buy a certain number of shares or sell, it might not be available. So all that affects share price. So we still believe, as Sylvia said, if you look at our performance, our effective payout was over 80%. So few companies can pay over 80% of their profit and still invest as heavily as we do. So we do believe it's a good return.
By achieving impressive growth fueled by the rising demand for mobile and data services in the country, this is with over 20,870 shareholders and with over 200 small pension funds and SACCOs. The company has witnessed substantial progress, and the final dividend for the fiscal year of 2022 amounts to 5.5 shillings per share, that is totaling to 123.1 billion shillings, will be disbursed by June 22nd, 2023.
Final dividend for the financial year 2022 of Uganda shillings 5.5 per share, totaling 123.1 billion, will be paid out to all our registered shareholders on their mobile money wallets. So you will not have to wait, just the convenience of having your Momo wallet working, as well as your bank accounts for those who want to be paid through via bank accounts by the 22nd of June 2023.
The National Social Security Fund's receipt of 31.5 billion dividend from MTN Uganda marks a significant milestone in their investment journey. With this substantial financial boost, the fund is well positioned to further secure the retirement futures of its members. As the partnership between NSSF and MTN Uganda continues to flourish, the positive impact on the Ugandan economy is expected to be substantial. Runana Habwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now we have a huge discussion in relation to one of the 6 bills that have been passed into law by President Yoweri Museveni. Now, one of which is the anti-homosexuality bill. Joining us this evening to discuss more of this, more so in relation to the economic impact it has on our economy as a country, Uganda. We do have Mr. Darius Mugabe, who is joining us on a Zoom interface. Good evening and many thanks for joining us, Mr. Darius.
Thank you so much for having me. Good evening to you and good evening to the viewers.
All right, Darius, when you look at, let's just go into, let's just grab the bull by its horns currently. When you look at the fact that President Museveni has passed 6 bills, and our attention now has turned to the anti-homosexuality bill, which is now law in the country. Where does this leave Uganda?
Many thanks. From my personal opinion, first and foremost, I must admit that my views are mixed. On one hand, I'm a Christian, and therefore it would speak to the sense that probably what the president has done affirms to the fact that we are standing to our culture and probably our religious kind of position. But again, on the economic side, which is a discipline that I subscribe to, the views are different. They are mixed in that sense. Because economics teaches us that people respond to two things. Number one, they are the incentives, and number two, it's danger. And in many ways, laws or regulations often present the danger side. And you would expect that economic agents will respond to this kind of thing in a sense that they are going to limit the levels of investment, and those will have certainly a lot of other competing effects. And in many ways, they will end up affecting the poor person. Because as you might know, as a country, we are limited by a very small fiscal space that we have. We do not have enough revenues to fund our expenditure needs. We are in the budget cycle right now, and of the 52.7 trillion Ugandan shillings, we already have 11 trillions that are coming from the external side, from the foreign people. So if we are sending this signal, in many ways it will speak to them that our domestic environment is not attractive, because when you look at those penalties that they are putting across, that if you're convicted of aggravated homosexuality, you suffer death, that is a serious danger to a person outside there. And of course, this will have other effects. We also know that our tax revenue has not been growing as we want, and we know the largest percentage of this tax revenue growth has also been largely driven by foreign direct investment. So if these guys pull out and we are constrained by this fiscal space, small as it is, then we are also losing out on bilateral financing that we have been getting. It becomes a very difficult position for Uganda if these economic effects manifest stemming from that law.
Well, when you come to think of it, the West has apparently revealed that they're going to cut off the aid to Uganda. And also, you get to realize that most of our external funding comes from the Western side. Where does this leave our economy really? Because it is something to worry about as a country. And how are we getting back?
True. Of course, like I've mentioned, you would anticipate that really these foreign countries are going to limit the funding they have been extending to our country. And this will constrain our fiscal space further to the level it is today. And of course, probably what we need to understand is that private sector development thrives on legislation, and indeed we need these laws. But for the case for Uganda, I think we are going the extreme end and we are over-regulating ourselves. The Americans already have been carrying out a number of studies, and they are showing them that actually these regulations, too much regulation, hurts economic performance, that every 10% increase in the number of regulations, it is translating into a 1% increase in the average price level, in the prices. And this eventually affects the lowest cadre of people in as far as that is concerned. So we need to be worried going forward with this extreme kind of legislation that we are having. Of course, when I look at our main target areas, which has been driving this kind of law into force, that we are targeting mainly on areas of promotion, recruitment, and the funding of homosexuality. But as we may understand, with the current level of digital revolution that is coming up, it is even extremely hard to monitor and control some of these areas that we are talking about. With the digital space coming, you can never know how promotion is happening. You can never know how recruitment is happening. And some of these things are happening at the time where the country is also facing quite a number of other economic challenges, or call them hardships. Amidst this kind of unemployment that we're having, I don't think it is possible for us to even implement this law and it achieves the intended objectives that we want.
Well, when you come to think of it as well, we have some Ugandans who are operating businesses in some of these countries, name Canada, United States and all. Is this threatening their stay in such countries or their transactions in such countries? Because by the look of things, there are some sanctions that may directly, affect us economically.
Of course, right now, what remains is really anticipation. We are just anticipating and probably trying to see how the West will react and perhaps respond to this law. But I do believe that even Ugandans who are in the diaspora might have some, kind of effect that comes from this this passing of the law. Probably we may understand that these guys who have been abroad have also been giving us some economic benefits in terms of remittances that they have been sending to us. So if the diaspora also becomes extremely harsh for them because of the segregation that they may face from the host countries, it will probably be another disadvantage for us as a country and also as an economy.
And now there is also another big issue here in relation to the Speaker of Parliament's visas for both the United States and the United Kingdom have been revoked. So some of the other members of Parliament are also scared, and others are also saying theirs have been revoked. So should we worry for the business community that in the long run, some of the Ugandans are going, are either way going to be denied these visas to some of these countries, Canada, US, United Kingdom?
I extremely do contend to that proposition. And like I've mentioned, really we'll have to wait and see how things will unfold going forward. But I do anticipate that in the long run, this will come. There are certain individuals, especially those of high profile, that might be subjected to this kind of treatment. But as time goes by, having hinted to the challenges that are associated with the implementation of such kinds of law amidst the high development of digitalization, I think this will come to an end, and they will not put it into effect, will not put it into implementation, and life will go on.
And also, lastly, from one of my other issues here is in relation to, first and foremost, when you look at Uganda's tourism industry, for example. Now, if you look at some of the figures here, they clearly show you that foreign tourists have been contributing greatly to our country's GDP. Now, furthermore, when you look at the fact that some of them have started cutting, their entry points or their desire to come and visit Uganda, I want you to look at it in this perspective of the investment environment. How prepared are we for the latter stages?
Thank you very much for those views, which I associate very much with. Of course, when you speak of tourism, the tourism we have in this country, we all know it's foreign-centered. We really can't speak of domestic tourism. It's a conversation we have been having over the years on how we can boost domestic tourism, such that we harness the potential that it has. And of course, amidst some of these shocks, I'm calling them shocks because we anticipate that this will result into very harsh effects for Uganda. It reaffirms our conversation that indeed domestic tourism is an aspect we need to accelerate and aggravate to higher levels. But not tourism alone. We are going to have a lot of shortages when it comes to services that we have been getting from these guys, especially those services that are specialized in nature, cross-cutting a number of professions, be medicine and other related services that we receive from these guys. So it's not going to be tourism alone, but there are so many other profession areas where we are going to lack some of these services. Of course, having mentioned that people always respond to danger. When I hear that really, when I'm convicted, I'm going to die, it gives me a second kind of thinking to make a final decision whether really I should be in your country or not. So going forward, I think we are also likely to see a reduction in the number of foreign tourists that come into the country, and also some profession service providers that we have been receiving as a country. And we will certainly have some critical shortage in those areas.
Okay. And, well, many thanks for joining us this evening. But before we do sign out, kindly, what are your final takes on this particular bill? And, of course, your parting shots as we are winding up with our discussion this evening.
Thank you very much. Of course, as a person, I think we are shooting beyond the basic safety of the workforce, and I think we are targeting where we cannot reach. I do not think that this law will be effectively implemented, and it's something that is going to cost us some unnecessary kind of energy and also resources in terms of trying to implement it. I do believe that the legal framework we have currently could probably reduce or even regulate the unintended effects that homosexuality probably presents to the country. But we hope the thing unfolds very positively, and perhaps the likely challenges we are anticipating do not extend beyond a larger magnitude for us to handle. Besides that, I thank you so much for having me this evening, and goodbye to the viewers.
All right, pleasure is ours to be hosting you tonight, Mr. Darius Mugabe. Have yourself a good night and a blessed evening. Well, of course, it's a very sensitive topic if you come to think of it. Of course, there's a lot at stake. But hey, it's done and dusted in relation to what President Museveni has signed into law. 6 amongst the bills in there, and that is the anti-homosexuality bill, which is now law. All right, as we come to the end of our Business Today bulletin tonight, let's have a recap of our top stories. In the news tonight, the West to cut aid due to anti-homosexuality bill. President Museveni asserts to 6 bills, among which is the anti-homosexuality bill. Uganda and Tanzania are currently geared up for the commencement of a study for construction of the pipeline gas. And also, NSSF earns 31.5 billion dividend from MTN. And to all the viewers, wherever you've been catching us from, many thanks for joining the entire bulletin tonight. And we do wish you all the best for your evening, but also reminding you to download the Smart Digital app, where you can access Smart 24 Television, Smart FM and NBS Cordell wherever you are. And of course, remember to follow us on our socials. I'm Joram Paul Sonka with Winnie Wins and Akauchi for the sign language interpretation. Till tomorrow, good evening.